Hello and welcome to this video. My name is ActiqueRS and today I want to talk about the differences between somebody who plays single player RuneScape and somebody who's playing multiplayer with a lot of friends. The reason why I'm talking about this is because myself, I have played RuneScape for a very long time as a single player and I have done most of the things that I have done solo. Lately I have been killing some Calfight King with my friends, been very unlucky by the way. But I've been playing so solo that I actually didn't know that many people in RuneScape like 1 year back. And my friend list consisted of maybe 20 people and now it's like 200 people. And the reason for that is of course warbans and stuff like that and also the YouTube. But back to the topic. So RuneScape has a lot of single player aspects and you can do a lot of things in RuneScape single player, and that's definitely a strength of RuneScape, because if you play any other MMORPG game, if you play anything else than RuneScape pretty much, there is no real single player aspect. There is no possibility to achieve anything alone, and I have talked about this before. So in RuneScape it's very nice that you can achieve the most coolest thing in the game pretty much solo, so you can get trimmed completionist cape and you don't really have to focus too much with other players. Maybe you have to kill Warago one time, maybe you have to kill the Rise of the Six one time, but that's pretty much about it. So most of the things are achievable alone. However, it is considerably faster to achieve things if you have a lot of friends. It's so much easier to gain money if you have a lot of friends. And for example, the skill that I'm doing right now on the background, dungeoneering, is extremely lot faster with a 5-man team. Because the thing is that if you are very fast, you can complete 5-men large in the same amount of time as I'm completing one solo floor, and the solo floors that I'm doing are just medium. And with the addition of a couple of mini games, or not nerfing those mini games, there are even basic skills that are very much faster if you have a lot of friends. So for example, if you're doing fire making, it's a lot faster to use the Barbarian Assault and use Penance Horn and then do fire making. That's a lot faster. It's like 40-50% faster or something like that. And it's also faster to train agility if you have friends to do Barbarian Assault with you. And I believe mining is also boostable by the Barbarian Assault Penance Horn. So that's already many skills that are just better to do with a friend, just better and faster to do with your friends and your constant team. And I kind of like that in a sense, because it's at the moment it's not too overpowered. But if I was Jagex, I would be very careful with this, because the real strength of RuneScape is that you can play it whenever you want. You can play on your own schedule, and you don't have this in other MMORPG video games. So you can experience a whole community, you can experience a lot of other players, and you can experience the, I don't know, just a feeling that you are logging into a huge world that have massive amount of players, or 2,000 players, maybe 200 sometimes nowadays, more often. So I think this is a strength of RuneScape that we should really want to hold on to tight. But at the same time, I think RuneScape has been slightly too much of soloing, because when you play, for example, old school RuneScape, there is pretty much nothing else than God Wars that you have to do as a group, I think. And even God Wars might be soloable, but I don't think it's efficient to do God Wars in old school. But that's the people that are playing RuneScape. That's the people that started playing RuneScape. So turning a single player game into a full-blown multiplayer MMORPG that you have to log in exactly same time with your group to make some gains, that's something that Jagex should definitely avoid doing. And there are other things than just the Penance Horn that is making multiplayer a lot better. So I can tell you more about that. So for example, Warago is something you cannot solo. So making money pretty much is a multiplayer thing. If you want to make real bank, if you want to make real money, you have to have a constant team, and you have to have the team that you always kill Warago with. You have to have the team that you always kill Calfight King with, because going with completely random people usually ends up in a fail, and you just end up being very mad and you end up wasting all your time. One thing that also brings extra XP and is very fast XP if you have a good group is the wilderness warbands. And if you don't have a good French chat, there is no way you can get 75 out of 75. There is no possible way. Maybe you get it one time or two times, but you have to get the 75 of 75 each and every day, 365 days a year to make a lot of XP. So this is one thing again that you can't really solo in RuneScape nowadays. And it is definitely giving a huge advantage to those people that want to put in the time to get to learn some people and to get to make a group to go together to the wilderness warbands, and then you are knowing what you do and start to get very reliable the whole 75 of 75. Also, I just want to say that I'm not complaining about the situation at the moment, because I feel that the situation at the moment is pretty good and the situation isn't that bad. But it's just something that we should really keep in mind, is that a lot of RuneScape players are not willing to play as a constant group, and they are not willing to sacrifice the time that it requires for you to play as a group and play as a team, because RuneScape is a game that we have played for over 10 years, and that means that we just can't sacrifice the amount of time for RuneScape that somebody can sacrifice, for example, for World of Warcraft. And also the hours that, for example, myself, I sacrifice for RuneScape, they just can't be bound to somebody else's playtime, and I can't log in every day at the same time to play just with one friend. But yeah, I don't really think that the situation is bad at the moment. I think it's quite balanced and it's pretty good. But this is just something that can happen to RuneScape, is that if Jagex is too ambitious about making RuneScape to look like a real MMORPG game and lose a bit of the uniqueness of RuneScape, then there is a small risk that RuneScape is turning even more and more into a multiplayer game. But at the moment it seems that there are a lot of skills, a lot of things that you can still do single player, and those single player aspects are just as fast as doing them in a multiplayer. For example, many of the mini games that are very useful at the moment, like sinkholes for example, you can do that alone, but in a sense you have to do it with other people, but you don't have to know those people, so that's a good mini game. And I feel that that kind of content in RuneScape should be very important to Jagex, and that kind of content should be added to RuneScape, where you can team up with random people, or you are, I don't know, fighting against some other players and you are competing with the other players, but at the same time everybody gets some kind of XP or something like that. So I think that sinkholes is one of those contents that were kind of really well designed, because it brings the players together and it brings the players to do something together, while they are still just gaining their individual status when they are doing that sinkhole minigame. And your reward is not really bound to how well the other players do, other than if the other players are very bad at the sinkholes, it's more likely that you will get a huge XP lamp from the sinkholes. Also, just to say that this doesn't sound like a complete rant, I want to say that I know that if there are things like Vorago where you have to team up for friends to make money, and pretty much you have to team up to make big money in RuneScape all the time, it's gonna be always that way. Even though Jagex would add a new solo boss that would give a decent drop, it's still gonna be much less valuable than Vorago drop, because Vorago drop is requiring a team, and getting a team is the difficult part of Vorago. If you are learning how to kill Vorago and you can just go there and you can farm Vorago, it's not that hard, I think, to kill Vorago pretty much like 10 hours a day, and you can get pretty consistent kills also if you know how to kill it. But myself, I of course cannot kill the Vorago, so I can't tell that much about it, but I know how multiplayer things work in the games, and if you have some boss, some instance or whatever in MMORPG video game, it means that the people that are doing it as a team will always get more money than somebody who's doing a solo instance for something that gives a soloable reward, because there are many more people that can do soloing things. And since the soloable players can do the boss at their own schedule, they can maybe sometimes grind it for 16 hours a day, While if you are doing something like Vorago as a team, it's very hard to make your constant party or constant team to stay online for 16 hours in a row and just kill Vorago for those 16 hours. So this is the reason why single player items will always be less valuable than multiplayer items. And that's why I don't think that RuneScape should only have single player things. So it's nice that we have some multiplayer things, but I would find it very enjoyable that Jagex would make it so that the multiplayer things aren't that overpowered that you need to also do multiplayer to gain your skills. Because at the moment I feel Penance Horn is kind of annoying because I don't want to learn how to do Barbarian Assault just to do fire making. But I think this is pretty much about what I wanted to say about this topic. So if you have enjoyed my ranting commentary or something like that, please leave some comment and leave it a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you guys later.